Joyride, 1957, a novel. I'm intrigued by J.P. Wasmiller, chapter 104. James took another sip of Coca-Cola. Now let's see. This line, I'll call it what? A line, U.S. line, Alex line, NA for North America line, maybe the Explorer line. No, I got it. The X line, or maybe just the EX line, or maybe just the X line. He thought for a moment. No, line X. It will be line X or line X. No, line X. For some reason, he did not remember what he used to call the line, the AU line. The reason he used AU is that AU was the atomic symbol for gold. But after his ordeal of the past few weeks, which included craniotomy, that is, brain surgery, it was no surprise that his memory was spotty. He himself thought he was now remembering everything before his meeting with the Kansas tornado, but clearly he was not. He got up, went to the bathroom, then returned to the bed, opened another bottle of Coca-Cola. He jumped when it fizzed, and Coca-Cola ran onto his map. It covered the entire state of Washington and some of Oregon. He got a towel and wiped away the liquid, but there was a slight brown stain on the map. He stared at it, then sat back down in his bed. Now let's look at some angles, he said, talking to no one but himself. He pulled out his protractor and began drawing and measuring. Line X from Newport through Alexandria intersects the U.S.-Canadian border. It forms an 18-degree angle with that border and then another 18-degree angle with the border as it extends northwest to the Pacific coast. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that the explorers did not want to go into Canada, or whatever it was called in 1362 or 1363. Let's say the Indians directed them back southwest when they reached Glacier Park, or whatever they called the area then. And let's say they headed southwest rather than northwest at the same angle, 18 degrees. It would be just like a ball bouncing off a hard surface. The line would be deflected at the same angle the ball hit the hard surface of the border. So let's take a line from the U.S. border with Canada where it intersects the confluence of British Columbia and Alberta. Then extend a line from that point southwest at an 18-degree angle off the U.S.-Canadian border. He extended a line southwest on his map, but the pencil stopped writing when he hit the Coca-Cola stain. He wiped the map clean and then extended the line to the Pacific coast. It intersected the Pacific Ocean in about the middle of Washington state. But what caught his eye was that it also went right through Seattle, Washington. The goosebumps immediately came to his skin. He couldn't believe it. Did the explorers end up in what is now present-day Seattle? And if so, what was there then? Did they meet no one, or was there a settlement or a town? Had the Asians set up a city? Did the explorers possibly use some of their treasure to get refitted for the return journey? He had no idea. But he was suddenly re-energized. He was sitting right on the line he had just drawn. He was sitting in Seattle, Washington. Let me try a couple more things before I hit the hay, he said aloud. He took his protractor and drew a line from the United States, British Columbia, Alberta confluence, a point he now was calling ABC Point, at a right angle to the United States-Canadian border. He extended a line from the ABC point south into the United States. He extended it south until it ran into the Pacific Ocean. The point where the new line met the Pacific Ocean turned out to be Los Angeles, California. Just then there was a knock on his hotel room door. He glanced at the clock. It read 12:14. He called for the person to come in. Slowly the door opened and a tall girl walked in. "Hello, James," she said. James' mouth dropped open as he stared at the most beautiful girl he had ever seen, at least that day. He was not conscious of only being in his white undershorts. She was gorgeous, tall with long flowing red hair and the greenest eyes, and the freckles that graced her nose created a masterpiece, a vision. She smiled that perfect feminine Mona Lisa smile. "My friend couldn't make it, so she had other plans. I hope you're not disappointed," she said. She took off her coat, exposing her uniform. He now recognized her as his waitress from that evening. "I brought you something." She held out a paper sack. Still speechless, he took it. It's some leftover creme brulee, she said, walking over the bed and placing her curvaceous derriere on the now brown-stained map of western Washington. She put her arm around him and squeezed him tightly with a result she wanted and expected. Soon they were locked in an embrace that would not allow any separation for a couple of hours.